Over the years, we have made inserts for Milwaukee packouts, DeWalt Tough Systems, Makita Mac packs, Festool sustainers, you name it, we've organised tools in it. But you can turn anything into a tool case with Shadow Foam, and in this video, I'm going to prove it using this hard guitar case. I picked this up off Facebook for £30, and in this video, we're going to make a DIY foam insert for it and get some power tools organised. So, first things first, let's gut it. So I managed to rip the two inserts out. One of them, this base layer here, was glued in with a mountain of hot glue, and it literally fell to pieces when I pulled it all out. We've still got a lot of glue on the case, as you can see, but it doesn't really matter because the Shadow Foam insert is going to sit over the top of that. So as long as there's no lumps and bumps, I used a scraper to get all the big lumps and chunks off, but the rest of it's going to be hidden anyway. So there's no point wasting loads of time trying to get hot glue off because that is pretty much a nightmare. Fortunately though, the lid piece came out in pretty much one piece. It's a bit broken, but I can use that now as a template. I can lay it on top of a piece of Shadow Foam, cut around it, and use that to make my insert. Now, if you're doing this and your case doesn't come with an insert in it, you can make one using paper. Really simple. You basically just use sheets of paper, sellotape them together, and then just push the paper up to the edges to create a template, and then you can use that to cut the Shadow Foam shape out. Now, if you want to see that in more detail, go and check out this video here where we go through the whole process doing an insert from scratch. For this though, we'll use this as a template, cut some inserts, and then we can get on to the fun stuff, which is the layout and seeing how many power tools we can fit inside this thing. So let me grab some Shadow Foam and let's cut some inserts. And there we go, that is the first insert done. So basically, I just cut around the profile with a scalpel because that's really precision. I can follow it really accurately. I usually go a little bit wider just to give me a little bit of room to trim it down. So around the body, I pretty much did the exact same size, but I added a little bit of extra length on the neck because basically I could tell there was a little bit slack on their insert. So actually we can be even better than the factory insert.
I'm better. I am better!
Once I've done that and I traced the profile, I then switched to one of these bigger knives. These come in our pro cutting kits, and basically you can extend the blade enough to cut quite far into the foam, if not all the way through. So with this, I was able to pretty much cut the entire depth in one pass, so it was really quick. Once I'd done that, I went back around then and basically just trimmed the side. So I just took some material off, just to chamfer it slightly because the case pulls in a touch. And that is the first insert done, as quick as that. It didn't take very long. So basically, if you were doing this, you'd have to go on the custom size page of Shadow Foam, and you'd be able to order a piece slightly bigger than the case and then trim it down. I mean, this is 1.15 meters, so I couldn't use a medium sheet, but depending on the case you were doing, you might be able to get one of our medium sheets, which is a cheaper way of doing it, and then cut that down. So there's loads of options, links below, shadowfoam.com if you want to do this. What we need now is two more inserts exactly the same. So I've got two 50mm pieces here, so I went and found some offcuts to do this, and then I took a sheet and chopped it down into these two pieces here. So all I've got to do with these now is lay this on top of them, cut myself two more blanks, and then basically in the base that's deeper, I can have one on top of the other, and then I can cut all the way through this top one, and I can organise the power tools in there, and then the lid will just have a nice 50mm piece. But yeah, let's get cracking. So there we go, that's the lid done. So it took a little bit of trimming, a little bit of finessing to get that to fit perfectly. So when I cut the insert, I did a little bit oversized, and then we had to kind of trim it in along the sides, and then also you've kind of got to take into account this angle to match up so it sits flush. But I'm really happy with that. That's a 50mm piece of foam, and you can see it kind of curves down, but it doesn't really matter because now it's just a nice flat surface. Next thing is let's do the base insert. So I've got the 70mm, which will sit on the top. So all I've got to do now is cut a 50mm, which will go underneath. And you might be able to tell as well on this the neck is a little bit deeper. You've kind of got like 2 levels to the inside of this case. So with this 50mm insert, we'll be cutting out basically a slot underneath to kind of match up with the 2 levels that are in here, which will make it flat, and then the 70mm piece will sit over the top and it'll be nice and flat, and then we can finally get to the power tools, get to the good stuff. So let's cut the 50mm base layer. So there we go, that's both inserts all trimmed in, and we've got a 70mm and a 50mm in the base, and that brings us up to about 5mm from the top, and then we've got the 50mm on the lid, and again that's about 5mm from the top. So it couldn't have worked out any more perfectly, and I think that looks really good already. All the glue's hidden, it's looking really smart. So all we have to do now is get some Milwaukee tools in here and get a layout sorted. So let's get onto the layout. So, layout's all sorted, and that is a pretty good selection of power tools in there. We've got a jigsaw, grinder, we've got a combi drill and an impact drill, and then we've got a multi-tool and a torch, plus 4 big batteries, which is pretty good. So, time to cut some foam. All I'm going to need is one of our basic cutting kits. This comes free with orders over £60 on the website. It's got everything I need in there. It's got the anti-cut glove, it's got the instructions, it's got the scalpel, forceps, it's got blades, and some stickers. So it's got everything you need. It's everything I'm going to need. So I've got the glove on, got the scalpel ready with the scalpel on. Let's get cutting. So down to the last item, let me show you how we do it. So I place it where I want it to go. Using the scalpel, I just copy the profile of the item onto the foam. So I'm literally using it like a pencil, just drawing around the item. I'm only cutting a few mil into the foam. Not far at all, it doesn't really matter. And even if I cut a little bit deeper, it doesn't matter. We're just capturing that profile. We cut all the way around, and you just want to make sure you've gone all the way around and you've met back up, which is there. Once you've done that, you can move the item out of the way, and you can kind of see there a small cut just all the way around. And then what we want to do is, using our scalpel, go back around and just follow that cut, make it deeper. And again, at this point, it doesn't really matter how deep we go. We're just following it around, just cut in maybe 15mm, just using the blade, just the sharp part of the blade, to just make sure that we've cut all the way, especially into the corner. So over here into a corner, we want to make sure we've properly chopped into that. There we go, just keep tracing it around. There we go. Now, for some of these items, I've cut all the way through. So, for example, this jigsaw here, I've gone all the way through the foam because it's so deep, basically. It's 70mm insert, it's gone all the way through, it's going to be sat on a 50mm layer, so that's going to be fine. I'll glue the two together, and that's a really quick way of doing difficult items. Now, for this, I don't have to go all the way through. And to be fair, if I don't have to go all the way through, especially when I'm gluing 2 sheets together, it's better not to. So I've cut about 15mm into the foam, and I can at this point peel back 15mm. Now obviously I'm gonna have to go a lot deeper with this torch, but it just helps you see what you're working with. It helps you see the profile, and it makes cutting the foam a lot easier. And it's a lot more difficult to make a mistake. You can see we've got the profile captured really nicely. So at this point, we go back with a scalpel, and we just cut again. We're just going to follow that all the way around. We're not cutting all the way through, we're just cutting another 15-20mm into the foam. You can see there's only about 15mm worth of sharp blade on the scalpel itself, so you can't cut much more than that anyway. So you're just going 15-20mm at a time. Once you've met back up at the start, again, we can peel back another chunk, another couple of layers. And we are getting a lot closer to being at the right depth. You can see if I did a test fit now, is pretty good, but I think we can do better than that. We want it kind of flush down if we can. So I'll go back again with the scalpel, cut around it. Peel out another couple of layers. Obviously, it's a bit tricky when you've got to squeeze your fingers down in there, but a bit of perseverance. So at this point, you could be happy with that and you could move on and put the item in. Let's see. It fits perfectly well in there. But if you want to kind of smooth it out a little bit, make it a little bit better, a bit smoother, you can get one of our smoothing spinners. Now, these have a 1/4 inch fitment and they'll fit in an impact gun like this, or they can go in a combi drill as well. It doesn't really matter. And you basically, it's got a little bit of a sharp edge on here, and you just use that, just skim off any lumps and bumps that you might not have been able to peel. It makes light work of any lumps and bumps, just to help smooth it off. I'll put that back in the wall. And there we go, all done. So that's all of the tools cut in. I can see that some of these are standing a little bit proud, so I will have to cut the base layer, but what we'll do is we'll glue the two together and then we'll make those final cuts. Right, there we go, that's all the tools in, and I've glued the two layers together. A couple of them, once they were in, I could tell that like the batteries needed cut in a bit deeper. So for example, with the combi drill here, the top layer we didn't really have to touch, but I've taken an extra about 10 mil out of the 50 mil layer below, just so when this goes in there, it sits nice and flush. Same with the grinder, I took out a big chunk from underneath the battery and underneath the head, and then the same for the jigsaw as well. So all of the tools are in, that's looking really good. Now some of them you can get out nice and easily, like the jigsaw, doesn't need a finger pull because it's kind of got like this trigger section. But the drill is going to be tricky to get out of there, so we're going to have to add finger pulls to that. The combi drill, impacted torch, and the multi-tool and the grinder will need finger pulls. And for that, we're going to use one of our stencil sets. So it's a pack of 3, it's $9.99, and it's essentially just circles from 10 mil up to 50 mil, and then you also get a radius gauge. So we're not going to use that, but that is for if you're making an insert for a flight case. Usually they have radiused corners.
And it's got rounded corners.
And for this one, we don't need the small circles. We're going to go for probably something around about the 44 mil mark, and we can just lay that over where we want a finger pull, and then cut basically semicircles. So we've got a few to do, let's get them done. So that's all the finger pulls done, and that is a completed power tool case, and I'm loving it. I think that is flipping awesome. I don't know what impression you'd make if you turn up on a site with this thing, but it's pretty cool. This case, 30 quid off Facebook, and the thing is, you go on Facebook, I challenge you now, go on Facebook Marketplace, type in flight case, just generally, or just hard case, something like that. You'll be amazed how many random sized flight cases that people have had them for a reason, and then they're just sat in the loft or wherever, sat in storage, and they're selling them, and they're really cheap. Like I say, this was 30 quid, but I've seen all sorts of flight cases for cheap as chips, and you can make an insert for it and transform it into something amazing. So let me know in the comments any ideas you've got. What could you transform into a power tool case, or maybe just a hand tool case? This could be quite cool with some layers, maybe a secret compartment, have some hand tools in here. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. I read all the comments and I do reply to most of them as well, even though we are getting more and more, so it's hard to keep up with you guys. But I'm loving it, I'm loving all the interactions, so keep them coming. And please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon, because we've got some great projects coming soon, and I wouldn't want you to miss them. So click the bell icon, you won't miss any future videos, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you liked that video, why not check out some of our others? We've got new videos coming out every week. And Colin Furs, what's the quickest way for people to see these videos?